Rabbi Hazzan David B. Sislen is a native of Washington, D.C., born in the city but raised in the suburbs. As you will hear, he had quite the journey to become a rabbi. Over the course of the past 2 decades, he has been called to congregations from Florida to New York. As a member of the Cantors Assembly, he has served on the placement and membership committees and is currently the associate editor of the Journal of Synagogue Music. He lives in Wyomissing with his wife Jennifer and his daughter Kaylee, who will be a sophomore at Brandeis University.
To say that I grew up in a Jewish community would be an understatement. My suburban D.C. neighborhood straddled the line between Orthodox and conservative in all senses. We had people who would only go to a shul where men and women sat separately, and some who would never want to be caught inside there. Kosher food was always available, but it took a while for any good kosher restaurants to gain traction. Synagogues became more traditional over time, not less. Walking home after services, a couple dozen people would trudge their way up the endless Spencer Road hill, comparing their lunch menus and deciding who was going to bring their entree to someone else's house for a combined meal. When we lived just at the point on the hill where you'd need a break when you were walking home in the dead of August, or if it was raining, we'd have spontaneous guests for a second Kiddush on Shabbos. Everyone knew everyone else, and if not, you were far less than 6 degrees of separation from any other Jew. As a product of a Jewish day school and with a background like mine, it's not surprising that I started leading services even before my bar mitzvah, and that once I graduated high school, I set my sights on my predestined career goal. Of course, I was going to serve the world as a theatrical lighting and scenic designer. I worked in the field for a dozen years in theaters from Virginia in the South to off-Broadway in the North, while balancing that career with my growing responsibilities for various synagogues on the weekends and for holidays. Once I got married, however, I realized that my calling to serve and inspire my congregants in any way possible was far stronger and more meaningful than my desire to enthrall an audience with visual artistry. Plus, it would keep me from my hopefully growing family. I retired from my first career, completed my studies, and embarked upon my second, becoming a member of the Cantors Assembly 20 years ago this month. Over these past 2 decades, I've been called to congregations in D.C., Florida, and New York, and has served the cantorial community in various capacities. And then one day, a congregant who was frustrated with our congregation's rabbinic leadership said to me, "You know, you should be a rabbi. Why don't you get your smicha?" I wasn't going to argue with a congregant. So even though it took a number of years, I finally took his advice. Over the years which followed, I made the transition in steps from being exclusively a Hazzan to being a Rabbi Hazzan, which led me to this place called Wyomissing. I must admit that at first I disgracefully mispronounced the name of my new hometown before I was charitably corrected. I won't share that with you. What was amazing to me was what greeted me when I got here. What I found was a close-knit community like the one which walked up the hill when I was a kid, a knowledgeable group of people who know and provide for each other, and who use their past as a motivation and as direction for their present and future. Progressive in practice, but rooted in tradition. It only helped that two of my predecessors are friends of mine and exclaimed without reservation how wonderful a place it would be to live and to serve. And I must mention my local colleagues. This community has a very unique synergy between the different ideologies of Judaism. A couple of months ago, we had our community Shabbat service, which is sponsored by the Jewish Federation. Our native population of Jews, many sharing multiple affiliations, all came together for a Shabbos service. What a beautiful tradition and what a wonderful legacy for the future, where we and our children can relate and participate equally in all branches of Judaism with equal fluency and enthusiasm. The communication and coordination between the local congregations, clergy, leadership, and laypeople is remarkable and admirable. We are not a community at cross purposes. We are one which uses every opportunity to bring ourselves together. With such a depth of observance, background, and sensitivity, we have the opportunity to take the Lenape Dakota word, Wyomissing, meaning the flat places, and transform it to the opposite. Let's take what's flat and make it high. Let's turn hills into mountains of faith and community involvement and responsibility to serve ourselves and those around us. As we look for deliverance from the dangers which are afflicting us, let's also get ready for how we will extend our involvement and affiliation for the future. Whatever your home shul is, we are waiting for you to show up as soon as you're able. Please be in touch with any of our local shuls. Call us, email us, send a smoke signal or a carrier pigeon. I'm waiting to hear from you, as are Rabbis Michelson and Lipsker. Here's to the future of the Reading, Wyomissing, and Berks County Jewish community. May we continue to come together as a single kehillah, regardless of denomination or affiliation. I hope to see you all soon. I hope to hear from anyone even sooner. Be healthy and be safe.
The Jewish Federation of Reading hopes you enjoyed this story in getting to know a fellow Jew living in Berks County. Federation is the central organization for issues affecting all Jews in Berks County. It represents us all, working closely in cooperation with local synagogues and community partners. Your gift to Federation supports our Jewish community here in Berks County, in Israel, and around the world. You provide cultural programs through the JCC. You assist Berks County Jews in need through Jewish Family Service. You combat the growing problem of anti-Semitism. You fund Jewish education for the next generation. To continue these services, we ask you to participate in a very special community campaign. During 2020, generous community members will match dollar-for-dollar campaign increases from both new donors and longtime contributors. Every new or additional campaign dollar donated in 2020 becomes $2. If you're not yet a contributor, please consider starting. If you're already a contributor, please consider increasing your gift. Your campaign contribution to Federation keeps our story of Jewish life going here in Berks County.